Next, from Chicago, we learn what new technologies are now available for free that are being used by teachers in K through 12 classroom instructions. This runs about 1 hour.
Discussing. So 2 or 3 times during the course of reading this book, we're going to meet and discuss in person as well. So this is using digital learning for teachers to start getting teachers to think outside the box, because most teachers did not grow up in the environment where this digital learning is prevalent the way it is today for students to use. So Shannon, yours next.
All right.
Nancy.
Okay, the next thing is that I'd like to present is Spelling City. One of the things that Shannon did not mention was that Wallwisher is free. Everything that we show you will be free. It's Web 2.0 apps on the online. Spelling City is one way that you can get rid of workbooks for spelling, and we're all into saving some money and also eliminating where students are just filling out pages.
Yeah.
We
get a special drum roll every time.
And also, we're very much into going green. A lot of times when we do workshops, many of our resources are online rather than a handout. So Spelling City, I've been using that since it first appeared within weeks after its introduction on the internet. And basically what it is, teachers make an account, and they can enter all of their spelling units online. Students can go into the lab then, and they have the option first of learning the words. There is an audio portion. They click on their unit, and they can hear each word then pronounced, spelled out, and used in a sentence. Then they take an online test. There's all kinds of games, actual individual games that go with each separate unit, and that's Spelling City.
So now we're down to our number 8. Now we got the drum roll when it should be. Number 8. I love this one. It was really hard for me to prioritize these, and you guys probably too, but we just had to prioritize them. I do have an absolute number 1, but this one is an idea. I'm a Google certified teacher, and I had to go to Google certified teaching school to do that. And this is an idea I picked up from a fellow Google certified teacher. Why aren't we giving every student in your school, in your high schools, when they're a junior, why aren't we giving them their own URL, www.richvolts.com? Give them their own URL, and the student then is in control of where they're going for college and or career placement and readiness. Why should students have to rely on guidance counselors, teachers, coaches, and others to be their recommendations for going to college or not? We give them your own URL. We teach them how to make a web page. On this web page, they're preparing as a junior either to go into the world of work or they're preparing to go to college, and they're doing their own digital portfolio, which, by the way, now that I have my own URL, www.richvolts.com, I have forever. So after I get into college, I continue to update this, or I'm in my job, I continue to update this web page as I earn my college degree and I'm preparing for my first job after college, and I get into my first job, I'm preparing for my next advancement at that job, or I'm preparing for a job after that job, and now I am myself preparing for my own website, and I determine what I am going to do. story about a student at this school. 6 foot 1 inch, 185-pound offensive center at this school. He goes up to his coach in his junior year and he says, "Coach, can you help me get a scholarship to college to play football? I really want to play football in college." And he said, I really want to play in a Big Ten school. I want to go to the University of Minnesota." And the coach says, "Well, you're only 6'1", 185 pounds. You're never going to be a Big Ten football player." This student happened to be number 1 in his graduating class, very good academically. He bought a program, took the digital film from the coach, put a spotlighter on himself when he's playing football, and his films his junior and senior year. He makes his own website. He sends it out to college. Today he's the starting center at the University of Minnesota. He had his dream. He made his dream come true. But why don't we teach children to make their dreams come true? Not bring it back on us that we failed you. You do it. All right, number 8.
All right, our number 8. It's not quite as inspirational as that. But we do love number 8 for those students that need a little help with homework, with research, with all kinds of educationally related activities, and they're not so inclined to look things up for themselves, especially with paper resources. So if you take your brain and you add in a little technology, you end up getting Wolfram Alpha. And Wolfram Alpha has been a computational engine, knowledge engine that was released a little over a year ago, about a year and a half ago. And we started using this right away in our classrooms because we saw how easy it was for students to have instant results when they needed an answer, when you're constantly saying, "Go look it up. Go look it up." And they don't want to look it up, or they don't know how to look it up. So Wolfram Alpha allows students instant success with a little bit of understanding of how the site works. And what's nice about it is not like a Google search. You are totally contained within this website, and it's free, and it's all research-based. So every single result when they type in has a bibliography, so they can record and be able to prove where they got their information. And a lot of students have a very difficult time when they're doing a Google search, if they've not been taught proper Google searching methods, to harvest information from their search. They end up getting into a site and they can't read what it is, or they've clicked, and how did you get there? I don't know. So this allows them to instantly get the results they need, stay contained within the website, and it makes it very easily organized so that they understand. So we have a little clip for you that we want to show you, and then a question that's posed in the clip we're going to answer using Wolfram Alpha.
The Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show will return after these messages.
Mr. Turtle, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
You never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Let's find out. 1, 2, 3. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
Okay, so the world may never know, and if you type that into Wolfram Alpha, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? It says result. The world may never know. However, if you ask it again and ask for the research-based answer, you end up with 3,481 according to the students, researchers at the University of Cambridge. So you can actually find out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop, and if you don't have the patience or discipline to do 3,481 licks, now you never will have to do that. And on a more serious note, this can actually take the place of your graphing calculators for students who can't afford a graphing calculator. You can put in any mathematical problem and get the results that you need shown on a graph. So that's an example of a trig function, obviously, and then it can also be broken down to do step-by-step processes of that. So if you continue on down, the derivative is all shown in the steps, And it has a lot more detail than that. I just took some screen captures for you so you could get an idea of how useful and powerful this piece of free web is for students who need to have some assistance with their homework. Now, we've been asked a lot, well, aren't you afraid the students are just going to cheat and write this all down? Well, not so much. Students that use this in the classroom, it's very easy for you to take them into the computer lab and have them check what they've done in the classroom as a side-by-side comparative. And a lot of times what we see the problem is students that do their homework and have a 24-hour turnover rate don't remember what they did to get the problem wrong. So this is immediate feedback for them. If they do the problem, go down to the computer lab, check it, look at the side-by-side comparison of the steps that are done in this problem compared to what they did on their paper, that's immediate feedback. So no, not really concerned about the copying. I'm more concerned about them finding their own mistakes and being able to correct them independently rather than waiting for the graded paper to be returned. Now, I don't teach high school. I've taught 9th grade advanced algebra, but never that high of level. So how I use Wolfram Alpha in my classroom is actually through a lot of different ways. But another one is through vocabulary development. And vocabulary development is a great one and an easy one because all you have to do is type in word, W-O-R-D, and then put in any word, and it gives you the definition. Not only does it give you the definition, it gives you the part of speech, gives you the word frequency, its origin. It also breaks it down to synonyms and rhyming words, all the way down to the basic principles of word development. So little kids can use this. This isn't just something for hard vocabulary. This is something that everybody can use. So we love it for that, but there are a ton of more uses of Wolfram Alpha. This is just 2 highlighted ones. That's our number 8.
Number 7. Use technology for remedial instruction. This is, again, another one I could have put much higher, but the idea that technology, see, just doesn't give up on kids. You know, a teacher might give up on a kid, might get tired of giving remedial instruction, especially when you game. The child's interested because of the game. The child gets a question right, continues on, gets it wrong, gets remedial instruction, gets it wrong again, gets remedial instruction, gets it wrong again, gets more remedial instruction. The computer just never gets wrong, never gets tired. I talk to school superintendents and principals about this a lot. We have these alternative high schools all over the state of Illinois. And these alternative high schools are for the students in our schools who don't behave correctly and we end up expelling or getting them out. Do you know what their success rate is in these alternative schools? It's almost 100% graduation rate, and it's all computerized learning. So what we're saying in our schools is we can't teach these kids. Let's go send them somewhere else and teach. What I tell superintendents all the time is, well, why don't you change that paradigm? Why don't you bring that paradigm in to your school? Then you could keep your children in your school. So remedial instruction. We have a huge change in the paradigm in Illinois that's coming relatively quick due to the Race to the Top legislation. We're going to start evaluating teachers based on student academic performance. We're going to evaluate principals based on student academic performance. And a lot of this is going to be in formative nature. When I talk about formative nature for student assessment, it is we're actually going to drill down to the individual child, and we're going to do a diagnostic tool at the individual child that we can tell exactly what the child needs to learn or not. What can do this best? A classroom teacher with 30 students or a classroom teacher with 30 students who has technology at their side that can help with that formative assessment. So we can use different assessment instruments like NWEA, and then eventually we'll get a summative assessment of the student. And you all in your districts need to be doing this right now. Is you will be in a very near future in negotiations with your unions and talking to your unions about this. So you need to come up with your own teacher principal evaluation idea. And this kind of, Jim Burgett and I did not talk about this, but his presentation earlier, Doom to Zoom, is a lot about what I think about too. Why don't we start taking control of these things? You at the local level now have the ability, by the way, to do this yourself. You don't need to wait for the state to come in and tell you what this should be. You have the opportunity right now to do it with your unions. You have to control for 4 things. One is special education. And my opinion is the exact same opinion as Jim Burgett had. Special ed kids are out of this. They have a contract between the school and the parent and the student about what the IEP student the student who's in special education should be. We have to do what the contract is. We do what the contract is, we get 100% for that kid. ESL. I say with ESL students, you have to be 4 years in an English-speaking school. See, you get to determine this at your own level. This is my plan. What's your plan? For attendance, for district-wide attendance, I say you got to be in my district 4 years before I should have to count you. And then for students, which we presently have in the law, you have to be 2 years in the same school.
All right, so free. Back to free. I think that's the thing that we drive home, especially in our school districts, because money is so tight. And one of the ways that I feel like I can really reach kids, especially the shiny object kids. Those of you that don't know who the shiny object kids are, they're the shiny object. They can't focus on anything but the shiny objects that are coming all over the classroom for them. And it's important for me as an educator to make me the shiny object, even if it's only 1 minute. If I can hold their attention for 1 minute to be the shiny object, then I've done something. And the nice thing about those shiny object kids are they're very smart. It only takes them 1 minute of shiny object to get it. So if I can use multimedia as my shiny object and pull that in, and the best place to do that, YouTube, free. Doesn't cost you a thing. And I am able to supplement my lessons, motivate kids, come up with alternative types of projects using multimedia. I'm all over it. So I want to show you 3 quick examples of using multimedia, very quick, 3 minute or 1 minute, and then another 1 minute, and then a 3 minute. And those 3 videos are going to show you 3 totally different lessons in a 5-minute span, instead of me standing up talking to kids who don't want to listen to anything but shiny object, shiny object, shiny object. So here you go.
Quicksand, like you see in the movies, is really, really, really wet land. Wet land! Wet land! Now, quicksand probably happens where there's an underground source of water, like a spring or a stream. And the water coming up through the sand pushes the sand grains so far apart that they're just barely touching, so that the quicksand is mostly water. Now, some people think that when you fall in quicksand, it will suck you down and you'll disappear. Well, really, you would just sink. So you might be walking along on what looks like solid ground, and you come to a quicksand pit, and you sink. But really, you're just sinking in water. So if you could turn over and float on your back, you should be okay. On your back. Okay. He's all right. He's all right. He's all right, aren't you? Just lie on your back and breathe for a while, and then about getting out of the muck. I don't really have that worked out yet, but you wouldn't drown. He's okay.
No, I'm not. I'm cold. I'm wet. My sinuses are acting up.
Quicksand.
All right, so there's your supplement for teaching wetlands in science. 1 minute. That's a lot of shiny object right there, and that teaches them a lot.
The following is a production of New Mexico State University.
What are you going to order?
I don't know. The fish looks good.
I don't like fish. I was fishing off the coast of Alaska when Dog jumped in the water and he was all wet. It reminded me of the song about a man whose dog dies and his truck stops working, and there was something about a train. Even though my dog didn't die and I don't have a truck because I was on a boat, but it made me really sad. So once I listened to it backwards to see if the truck would start working and the dog didn't die, but it just sounded weird and I was still sad. Do you ever listen to country music backwards?
What are you even talking about?
Fish. I'm talking about fish because it reminds me of when my dog died, like that movie that had that guy in it from the other movie that was hilarious, remember? It was about space and there was the woman with the blue hair. I laughed so hard milk came out of my nose.
Oh, my phone is ringing.
I don't hear a phone.
No, really, I have to take this. That entire time, I spoke 25 words to his 175. That means for every 1 word I spoke, he spoke 7 words. He spoke 7 times as much as I did. 7 times! It was like me, talk, him, talk, 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 talk. Me, talk, Him, talk, 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 talk. So, do you like fish?
Don't like fish.
I asked the last guy I dated about fish, and he rambled on about trucks all night. Have you ever dated someone who talks too much?
Can't trust fish.
My phone is ringing. That entire time I spoke 36 words to his 6. For every 6 words I spoke, he only spoke 1 word. I spoke 6 times as much as he did. 6 times. It was like me. Talk, 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 talk. Him. Talk. All I want is a guy that can talk with me on a 1-to-1 ratio. So, do you like fish?
I don't like fish. My roommate does, though. Do you like fish?
I do like fish. Gosh, I've been on some bad dates lately.
Funny, my roommate says the same thing.
Do your dates talk about fish?
Not really. Do yours?
One date talked about fish, had a truck, and listened to country music backwards.
My roommate talks about fish, has a truck, and listens to country music backwards.
I think I dated your roommate. Have you noticed we talk about the same amount? A 1-to-1 ratio.
Indeed, we do talk about the same amount. A 1-to-1 ratio. Fred!
The make it relevant up there on the slide, they can all relate to the bad date. At least high school kids can. Hopefully your junior high and your elementary can't. And that's our number 7.
With iPod touches, other kind of digital recordings, all of your schools have daily announcements. Why don't the schools put the daily announcements prepared and read by students, put that on a podcast, put that on the internet, so all parents could find out what the announcements are for the day.
Good morning, students and staff. Today is Friday, December 11th, 2009. I'm Kayla. And I'm Elizabeth. And here are your morning announcements.
My name's Elizabeth, and I record and sometimes I engineer.
The positive action word of the week is talent.
And my name is Kayla, and I'm the one who's in charge of them, making sure that they get done and that they get reviewed. So I'm the boss. I'm like the vice boss.
So other uses for podcasting. How about let's do student council elections. Instead of putting poster boards up, we have students podcast their plank. Goes onto a website, and then students listen to the podcast. How about we do professional development? As a superintendent, I was always worried about professional development because what happens to the coaches because they're out coaching and they didn't get it? Or happened to the teacher who's not there because they're absent today? Or more importantly, we did a whole professional development on RTI this year, and now we've hired 20 more teachers next year, and they didn't have the professional development last year. Do we have it archived? Do we have it saved? Do we have it so that they can listen to it later on? Do we even have to have faculty meetings?
No.
I'm sure you're aware. I'm sure you're aware of that Chicago Tribune article that's very, very embarrassing to public schools. And so it's one of the big reasons we need to start changing this idea we don't even go 176 days. You know, they were 153, 146, 138, and then we're talking about not meeting adequate progress. So why do we dismiss school early for teacher in service, things of that nature, when you can use podcasting to do it? Taking field trips and making podcasts out of the field trips. So how can you do this? Well, another easy free thing to do, and I'm like Shannon, I like to do the easy free things, is use something that's called Audio Boo FM, and this works on just about all smartphones. And I'm gonna play a little Audio Boo here. This is I was presenting in Boston in July of 2009. And you can see here when I did this audio boot, not only does it have a picture, it has exactly where I was in Boston when I uploaded this podcast, but I'm going to play the podcast. And this picture is a picture of what's called the Youth Orchestra of the Americas. One of the speakers who spoke with me at this conference was the conductor of this orchestra. And these were the best high school musicians from North America clear through South America. And I did this with my iPhone, and I'm going to play it with you just to show you the quality that you can get with your phone to make a podcast. Impressive, I think. I have nice speakers too, but pretty impressive. Now, what would I do as an administrator here? Well, let's say I'm going to a high school band concert. As I'm getting up to the band concert, I would start my podcast with my phone saying, hey, this is Rich Volt, superintendent of XYZ school district, and I'm going into the Smith High School band concert tonight, and I'm going to record some of it and play it back for you. Then go into the concert, I record some of it, maybe I record people who've done individual solos during the concert. I come back out, maybe I take a picture also of the kids that are doing it. I come back out and say, didn't Mr. Smith and the kids do a fantastic job with this podcast? I push a button, it's on my internet. And now it's on my homepage for a superintendent that this is what I've done. Teachers, you want to communicate with parents? I mean, a lot of times we talk at the high schools that, high school parents are disengaged. Raise your hand if you were a high school parent who was ever disengaged or wanted to be disengaged. I mean, high school parents want to be engaged, just the high school kids don't want you engaged, but you want to be engaged just as much as ever. Well, if your teacher was communicating with you versus via podcasting and Twitter and other kinds of social media, then you would be engaged as well. And so tonight when we sit around and talk about homework, well, I know you have an AP exam and calculus coming up on Monday and you have a paper due next week. Let's start on it today instead of saying I have nothing to do. So that is Audio Boot. Another one that's free is the one that just came out. It's called Cinchcast. That's another free way to do podcasting. So principals can do this as well. They're updating for parents. Here's Barrington again, the Barrington superintendent. He really does a cute little podcast. They do three kinds of podcasts. One kind is he has an elementary class research the project. He goes into the elementary classroom, and then the 2 or 3 students are picked to interview him. Is it ever cute? They interview him about whatever the topic is, and then they'll ask, crazy questions at the end, like, did you ever go to college? What did you teach? Are you married? Do you have a dog? Or, any kind of things these elementary kids will ask you. And it becomes a real cute podcast to put up. In that same district, they would also do, the middle school students interview board members about a topic, and then high school students have a video studio where they do their own video podcasting. Here's a superintendent, matter of fact, I think he's in the room today, the West Chicago superintendent, who did a podcast on a referendum that was then on the newspaper website. Here's it passed. Finally, congratulations. Here's another one. It's a superintendent who's in Dunlap, Illinois, who's doing an orientation of how you get around in his website. So he takes you around what's on the website, what's available for parents. He also has done his strategic planning, allowing, if you call a strategic planning committee or input from your community to your school district, how many people are going to come? Well, you put it on a podcast and then invite people to submit comments, questions, concerns via the podcasting, and with some digital way to do it, he had fantastic success in his school district doing that.
The other beautiful thing about Google Docs is that you can go ahead then and publish it as a web page when you're all finished. The Skype, Shannon used that quite a bit with her class in Washington, where they would Skype. Now this was a 6th grade class. She was teaching 4th graders, so they never used the audio portion, the video portion, just the audio. So they didn't want to see that they were working with little kids, yet they worked very well together that way, and they could talk back and forth when they wanted to resolve some issues or answer some questions. So that is our number 7.
6.
Textbooks publishers are starting to put their information up on iPads and other kinds of devices. We have interactive textbooks. Here's a parent who kept on asking his son to bring his textbook home. The son wouldn't do it. So the parent then PDF'd to copy the textbook so he'd always have it. He's made this into a company, and now he is, with publisher permission and copyright protection, issuing textbooks for free via a company that has advertising. So you can get some of these resources for free. Here is the Chicago Tribune today. Chicago Public School pin hopes on Discovery Science program. I don't know if you've had any opportunity to look at the Discovery Science program, but many of you who had high school biology certainly remember dissecting frogs, for example. It is an unbelievable experience to do this virtually. It's you click on the marker to mark where you're going to cut. You'll go click on the scalpel to cut on the scalp. You go click on the tweezers to lay the skin back. You click on a pin, you pin the skin. I mean, it's exactly as what you would have done in your high school biology class with the formaldehyde that you were smelling that is totally virtual in this environment. Unbelievable experience. This is a school I visited in Mooresville, North Carolina. I showed you that picture earlier. I've got podcasts on my website. You might want to go back and read. They use Discovery Education in their curriculum. But I want to show you these statistics. And you tell me, you know, anybody or anything that we've done in education in Illinois or in your school that would do this. First of all, in North Carolina, they only have 113 school districts. They hire a superintendent with the vision that he's going to go 1-to-1. So they're 38th out of 113, which isn't too bad.
What do you mean by 1-to-1?
Each child has a computer, each teacher has a computer, everybody has a laptop. No books, no paper. They go in 4 years, 38 to 8 to 4 in North Carolina in student achievement. Number 1 is Chapel Hill, where the University of North Carolina is, and Chapel Hill is scared to death that Mooresville is going to overtake Chapel Hill. Now you might think this is a suburban district. Listen to the demographics. 50% low income, very diverse student population, and listen to this, board members and superintendents, spending in the bottom 10% of all school districts in North Carolina. Dollars are not the reason you are not doing 1-to-1. That is not the reason. I can show you, he can show you, many people can show you, if you change the paradigm that you're doing in schools, you can go 1-to-1. But don't give computers to people and don't, with the same paradigm we're in, you're just wasting your money. You have to change the idea of teaching and learning first.
The first one that we want to show you is an alternative assessment type of way. We do extensive Smartboard training through our company, and one of the things that we often show teachers during Smartboard training is to use their Smartboard recorder. And the Smartboard recorder is something that can be installed in every computer on every in every lab in your school for free once you have purchased a Smartboard for your classroom. Now, what I do with the Smartboard recorder is I allow students to record math problems or other types of homework assignments rather than doing it on paper and pencil. It doesn't cost anything. It's a very great way for me to assess each student individually so that I can see exactly what each one of them knows about whatever assignment I've given them. We'd like to show you a division problem from Bradley, and Bradley's a title student, and he was given a 3-digit division problem to do, and he came up with his own problem and recorded it himself and wrote his own script. So this also includes writing across curriculum with math. And I was floored whenever I watched this video. He saved it to the hard drive instead of turning in an actual piece of paper. When he was in the lab, he just saved it, and I opened it up on my computer that evening and watched it. And I was able to specifically identify what he needed help with rather than trying to figure out on a piece of paper where he was struggling or where he wasn't struggling.
I'm going to teach you how to do this problem. 3 divided by 245.
There's mistake 1.
Right now, we are going to be focusing on the 3 and the 24. Why do you ask 3 and 24? Well, 3 cannot go into 2, so it has to go into 24. So now it's time for our steps. The first step is division. 3 go into 24 8 times. So I put the 8 over the 4. And now it's time for the multiplication stage. 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. So I put that under the 24. Now it's time for the takeaway stage. So now I got takeaway. What's 24 taken with 24 is 0. Now it's time for bring down, which means I bring down my 5. And now I start over again. So 3 divided by 5. 3 divided by 5 is 1.
And then they're able to hook this up to the computer just by plugging it into the jack on the front, and now they can use the software that we already got with our smart boards and be able to record those types of assignments. Now, if he would have turned in that assignment, he got it all right. I would never have known that he thought the entire time it was 3 divided by 245. So his reasoning, whenever I'm able to grade those, I can pull them up and specifically say, Bradley, babe, think about that. Can you divide 3 into 245 pieces? And the light bulb moment, right, that we all dream about as educators happens, and then he's remediated. I'm finished with him. I don't have to go through step by step and correct everything in his problem because there was nothing else to correct. So I can focus in on specific needs of students through those types of recordings. Another way that we use recordings is when we're in the computer lab for students who may be better at some things than other students. So we record all of our directions for online or for computer watching. They go into the lab, they put on their headset, and they pull up the video of the directions that I've given them. In my classroom, before we go down to the lab, I record step by step everything they need to do for the project that they're going to do that day. And then they can watch the video, rewind it, pause it, watch it again, and go at their own pace. Students that need instructions repeated 15 times can watch it 15 times. Students who don't need it repeated can whiz through and do 2 projects in the amount of time that it could have taken us 1 to do it all together step by step in the lab. So the last piece is for professional development. I had a librarian come to me at the beginning of the year right before school started, knowing that Mom and I do a lot of consulting work and a lot of technology projects, and she said, I know you're really kind of geeky and you know techie stuff. Do you think you could train the teachers on the AR system that we got here on the first day of school whenever we have Institute? I haven't looked at that yet. I know, but you can look at it and you know how to do it and it'll just take you a second. So what I did that night, actually, of course I said, sure, I would love to. So I went home that night, I opened up the AR system online, and I immediately opened another one, which is called Jing, and that's also free. And you're able to take quick video captures of yourself. And as soon as I taught myself how to do something, I recorded it. And I had all of these little video clips of everything that had to do with the AR system saved in a folder on our server at school. And when they came in for the training, I said, the training is independent. See that folder on the server? You just watch those videos at your own leisure and be able to teach yourself how to use the AR system by watching my instructions. So it worked out very well for them and for me in the fact that we were able to save time and they could learn at their own pace.
4, use technology to check for understanding. This is one of the best things that teachers can do is constantly checking for understanding for all students. And we can do this digitally using response generators and smart boards, but all of that costs a lot of money. So fine, if you have money, you can buy those things and they work great. But there's also a free application out there, and it's called polleverywhere.com. There's a free version of polleverywhere.com, as well as there is a purchase version that is not very expensive, where you could keep track then in the purchase version what the individuals and students are doing. So who in here can text quickly? Are you good at texting? Okay, I have a question up here. Yes, I want you to do it to show you the live results. This is going on free here. What is your favorite technology application? And you're texting the code under the... See, with adults, you always have to teach them. Kids just know this. I don't have to teach them. But you're texting the code to the number 22333. And as you do it, so people who are quick here, who know how to text well, text, and you're going to see we're going to actually get results. So this would be like a STEM and a response that a teacher would be using in classroom to check for understanding. And immediately the teacher is going to know if every student in the class, again, you're letting a student use a cell phone. You see how we're getting results? Someone just came in and using an e-reader. So this information is going up just as we speak, and it's live information. And you can also, again, buy the professional version at the same time, and then you'll be able to keep this by student, so you would have by student result instead of doing it by this way. So this is polleverywhere.com.
Just a second. We're having some
State. We are in the process in our school district of adopting a brand new reading, language arts, and spelling whole curriculum and a textbook series. And with the reading comes a reading fluency component. But you really don't need something that is sold to you. You can do this totally on your own. And both Shannon and I have done this in class for several years now. And basically what it involves is you giving your students a part in a story each week, and I videotape them reading. Now, I don't tell them the very first week of school because they will be absent if they thought that they knew they were going to be videotaped, and I would get a huge rise in illnesses going through the classroom. So it's very quiet, that we're all in it together. I talk about what it means to stand up there, but the thing is, you throw their videotape then into Movie Maker, and they then watch themselves. And so basically what I do is I put this on our server. The students go into the lab then the next day and they watch themselves as they read, and they do a self-evaluation where they talk about where they want to improve, whether it's volume, expression, and they also evaluate where they think they did a good job. So they set goals for themselves for the next week. Now, like I said in the beginning, they're very nervous, but by the end of the year, I remember last year I had one student who was very nervous, and I turned to him and say, "Travis, are you still as nervous as you were at the beginning of the year?" "Oh, that was so last fall." And already this year I had one little girl come to me who was very shy, and she and her brother went last weekend to try out at Decatur to be in a commercial. And she said, "I would never have had the confidence to do that if you had not videotaped me, and I wasn't doing that." At the end of the year, I even had one little girl last year who every week on Thursday would wear great big sparkle earrings because she knew she was being videotaped. So the confidence building in this, and also, as you can see, their ability to read out loud is phenomenal.
So this is a great website that's fun for the kids. It's highly motivating. And here is a picture of my daughter's stuffed animals as she welcomes teachers for a Teacher Institute Day. Now, she was 7 when she made this, and we wrote the script together, but she had to read it as a fluency type of practice for herself when she was 7. So I'd like to share this with you also.
Hi, I'm Classic Bud, and this is my brother New Bud. Congratulations on being here. Best case, you learned something new. Worst case, you don't learn anything new, but you've got sweet, sweet freedom from your students today. I just wanted to let you know about Blabberize.com. Finally, a way to express my opinion. Ashley usually talks for me, and now I get a chance to speak for myself. I hope you enjoy this site as much as I do. Just think, if a 7-year-old stuffed dog could make this, what could your students do with it? Maybe a speech or biography. Have fun.
So that's a great way for students who don't like to be in front of the camera to take a picture of something and make that picture talk with the same results of the fluency progression that we had on video. So 7-year-old reading that, I was pretty impressed, but then again, she is my daughter, so she's gifted.
Yes, she is.
Okay, I'm going to do 2 in a row here because my number 3 was screencasting, and Shannon and Nancy have already done screencasting, but I like showing these next slides because I think it gives a different spin about what screencasting is as well. Do you have students who don't get it the first time? Do you have any in your district? Well, what if the teacher screencasts their teaching? and it's up on the net. Do you have students that are absent from school and need to have the information again? Well, if it's screencast, it's up on the internet for everybody to see at any time. On-time learning. Do you have students who have trouble doing homework and they need to have a instruction occur again to let them master the assignment? Do you have parents who would want to know resources for their own child's homework that they would want to watch the teacher teach the concept so they can teach it to the student as well? This is the teacher I just interviewed. I did a podcast on this very topic. Her name is Vicki Davis. She's from Camilla, Georgia. First of all, cell phones can save us money because they don't strain our infrastructure, nor do we as schools necessarily have to buy them. Cell phones can help students be more organized. Vicki talked about, she went to a Franklin Covey planning course, and they always say, make sure your planners are always with you. What about students? That's what a smartphone is. A smartphone is their planner. It's their assignments, it's their calendar, it's where they access information. It makes kids more safe. I heard a Columbine expert talk to her who had studied this Columbine situation, talking about there'll be a time in schools where parents are going to mandate that students have phones on them from a safety perspective. It allows sensitive issues to be kept quiet. I love this one. I'm in schools all the time and I'll hear Joe Smith come to the office, or Connie Jones get to the cafeteria, and the whole school hears it, or maybe just that classroom hears it. What if we texted those messages? It's a private. It's a text from the office to the student shows the teacher that they need to go wherever they need to go. So keeping sensitive issues quiet. Again, it doesn't strain the network. It doesn't strain your IT department. It speeds up. How long does it take for your computer to boot up? How long does it take for a phone to boot up? They're instantaneous, and you can get information instantly from your phone. It teaches digital responsibility and citizenship, exactly what Nancy was talking about earlier. We need to get out of it. We don't allow scissors on airplanes. We allow scissors we don't allow scissors in school if the students are running with it, but we allow scissors in school if they're using it for an appropriate function. Well, cell phones, similarly. Teachers can control what students are doing and not doing. See, if you have a laptop, they teach teachers when you use laptop, there's times that lid is down on laptop because we're instruction. Cell phones are up. Yes, I mean, say, teachers even collect. Put them all in a box right now, everybody. We're not using cell phones today. You'll get them when you leave the class. There's ways for us to deal with cell phones in schools instead of just falling to the negative sides of cell phones and saying, well, they're going to take inappropriate pictures. I love this one. Teachers say they're going to cheat. Well, change your assessment. How about making an authentic assessment be something that they can't cheat? And by the way, no one ever cheated when I was in school. No one ever did anything inappropriate when I was in school.
Something that I've started this year that I'm very proud of my students for is blogging. And we've done it in the past, but this year I am using a new site called kidblog.com, which is free, it's easy, it's totally run by the teacher, but parents have really embraced this as well as their students. Grandma and Grandpa from Florida can check in and see what the kids are writing about. And I am getting so much more writing generated this year than I ever have in years past, combined, I think. So, this is a screenshot of my classroom kid blog, and it's actually a link off of our classroom website, which is our #1. And the students, when they get a new post, it's posted up there, and you can see that there are comments that are made. All of the blog directories are on the side, so if you just want to check your student blog each day, you don't have to sift through all of them to find your students as a parent. So that's been very nice. I have been amazed at how many grandparents are commenting. Amazed at how many. So I want to show you the back side, what the teacher sees on how I approve student posts, as well as the comments. I have to approve every single comment that is posted on there, so I keep the kids very safe in that regards. They're not allowed to post anything obviously inappropriate, but if they try to, I see that, and I don't publish it, but then I can also take care of it. Also, administrators can do this. My husband's actually sitting in the back. He's the superintendent at Oakland schools. And we started principalspage.com way back when he was a principal. And then he ended up starting his own blog off of that original site. And he blogs all the time about education. And, well, you can see the two cartoon characters, me and my daughter and our dog. And our number one is our classroom websites. I'm not going to go to them, but if you visit either of the links that we've put on the handout, mrssmith.com, like he had said, buying your own URL is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And it's the best thing that I did for myself for my classroom, because I can post all of the student work on there. I get tons of hits, and the parents go there often to see their kids' work. They love it. They love the assignments. They love the links page. They love it all. So I invite you to take a look at that and see what teachers can do for their classrooms to make them virtual learning spaces.
Using a variety of Google applications for school, district, as well as classroom use. You can use Google Apps and have all your students on a free Gmail, but it's called apps, set up within your schools that are closed to just to in your school. Those of you who want to know more, go to this video on YouTube. It's called Google Apps for Education K-12 Demo, and you will be able to see that. Google Docs are used for a variety of reasons. I just want to show you one that what's very popular we're doing in Illinois with administrators is using Google Forms, which is an application off Google Docs, to do classroom walkthroughs. And what is really nifty about doing teacher evaluation and classroom walkthroughs is it gives you all the data back automatically. All of this feeds into a spreadsheet and graphs and charts all your data points, and all of that done automatically through Google Forms. So
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.